listening to The Huddle. Right now, we're going to take an opponent preview. Darren Urban joining us right now, covers the Arizona Cardinals for azcardinals.com. Darren, how's it going?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Fantastic. We're happy to have you on. You had a column up on azcardinals.com talking about something that Kyler Murray is doing exceptionally well this year. Why don't you tell us about his season? It seems like he's having a career year, and maybe one area in which he has surprised even you.
Well, I don't know if I'll necessarily call it a career year yet. Obviously, we've still got half the season to go, but he's definitely in a different space than he's been in before. He might have had more gaudy numbers once upon a time, but he fits so well in the offense that they're running here with offensive coordinator Drew Petzing, and the fact that it's kind of coming together at a perfect time really kind of escalates how he looks and how he's performing. And don't get me wrong, Kyler's playing at a very high level right now. They just don't always need him to be Superman like he once was. The thing that you were referring to, the story you were referring to, was how he's not turning the ball over. He's got only 3 interceptions this season. He has lost 3 fumbles, but 2 of them were botched handoffs with a rookie running back, and I'm not 100% sure those were on Kyler. So he's done a really good job of taking care of the football, which when you add that in with the least amount of penalties the Cardinals have got. I mean, the Cardinals have the fewest amount of penalties of anybody in the NFL. That goes a long way in helping you try and win games. So Kyler Murray's in a good place right now. He's 100% back from the knee injury from a couple of years ago. He looks like it when he moves around. He's throwing the ball exceptionally well, and his offense is coming around.
Hey, Darren, tell us about James Conner. I called him a trained killer earlier just because I reserved that for one guy on the roster that I feel like is just an old school guy, tough guy. And you look at him with he's averaging almost 100 yards from scrimmage per game, but just what he means to this team and the kind of year that he's having.
James is the guy, for me, he's the heart and soul of the offense. I mean, since Jonathan Gannon came in, they prefer to be a run-first offense. Doesn't mean they won't throw, to the contrary. But in a perfect world, James Conner is getting the ball a lot, and they are grinding out yards on the ground. And you're right. He's, the way he plays football feels very old school. It feels very 1977 kind of feel to it as a running back. And you don't get that a lot anymore. And when he does well, it does seem to energize this entire team. A lot of people know James Conner mostly from his years in Pittsburgh, but there's no question that he has played his best football since he came to Arizona. And these last couple of years, even as he's getting older as a running back, he seems to be getting better. He's another guy who fits perfectly in what they're trying to do offensively. And even in the games where he hasn't had a big rushing total, he has either helped the team in the receiving game with a couple of big catches and long gains after short passes, or he's had big runs at the end of the game where, okay, maybe he's only got 32 yards up until the fourth quarter, but then all of a sudden he breaks a 12-yard run and then an 8-yard run and then an 11-yard run to help them on a game-winning drive. So he's been so important to this offense. He's been healthy. And like I said, I think he's playing the best football of his career.
Hey, when you look at the overall numbers of the Arizona Cardinals defense, you can look at them and say, okay, they're all right. But then you look at just what they've done the last 3 games and you match that up with the film. And I feel like there's a lot for you guys to be excited about. You got Lopez and Jones on the inside playing well, 2 interior linebackers who have been doing their thing, and then Budda Baker is just everywhere. Has the feeling of this defense changed over the past 3 games? You played, the Jets, the Bears, and the Dolphins?
Yeah, I mean, again, the last 2 games where they haven't given up a touchdown, you're playing at home, you're playing against the Jets and the Bears, 2 teams that I'm pretty sure are not going to be going anywhere past the end of the regular season. So, you have to factor in some context. But this team was always defensively about doing a solid job and hopefully having the offense pick them up in spots. And what has happened over this 4-game winning streak in a lot of ways is the defense has done more than just hold its own. And that's an important factor when you talk about a group that doesn't have a lot of big names. I mean, everybody, especially where you guys are, everybody knows Buda Baker, but beyond that, is there any household names? I mean, that's probably not. But they play as a group. I think Nick Rollis is one of the better young defensive coordinators in the league. It's an area of the roster that I'm sure GM Monty Fort wants to continue to upgrade. But they are playing at a pretty high level, and it's kind of the epitome of bend but not break. I mean, they're going to give up some yards, but like I said, they've been keeping teams out of the end zone, and that's gone a long way for them to win games.
What kind of game does benefit Arizona if they want to walk out of here with a win?
Well, I mean, for them to play, if they're playing the game that they want to play, they're going to be able to control the ball on offense a little bit, and they're going to be able to run it. And, you know, one of the things that has always kind of been overshadowing this team, maybe not overshadowing, but kind of followed this team where it plays. You know, if you go back to the heydays of the Kurt Warner Cardinals is, you know, can they win if they're not in a dome? And the way this team is built, and they showed it last year in some cold and some rain when they went up to Pittsburgh and they went up to Philadelphia, this team can do that. And so let's say there's some chill in the air and there's a little bit of moisture Sunday in Seattle, this team is built to handle that. This team can run the ball with James Conner. They can do it with Trey Benson. They've got a nice passing game with Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride. I think for them to be successful, if they don't turn the ball over and they don't commit a lot of penalties, which has been what they've done, if they're able to run the ball a little bit, I think they're going to be in pretty good shape.